to defend the administration's response. In his own personal role as the head of the coronavirus task force, he is also ready to return fire. And the Trump campaign feels that they have an opening here when talking about the coronavirus to extend the conversation out to a broader talk about healthcare in general. Expect Mike Pence to remind voters that during the Democratic primary, Kamala Harris was in support of Medicare for all, something that the Trump administration argues is a path to full socialized medicine. They will then take it even a step further and talk about Kamala Harris's connection to the far left elements of the Democratic Party. They believe that this is a broad vulnerability for the Biden-Harris ticket, and it's something that Vice President Pence plans to hone in on tonight in a big way.
Wolf, interesting. All right, Mike, thank you very much. Jeff Zeleny is also working his sources. Jeff, how do the campaigns view the stakes for tonight's debate?
Well, whether President Trump acknowledges this or not, the Trump campaign and indeed senior Republicans on Capitol Hill believe that this is one of the last best opportunities to reset and potentially change the narrative of this race. For months, the president and the vice president and Republicans have been trying to brand Joe Biden as part of the liberal left, the radical left in their view. If you talk to Democratic operatives in every battleground state across the country, they say that is one of their biggest challenges, that are just simply the identity of this Democratic Party. But Republicans tonight know that the stakes are incredibly high. Well, if I talked to a senior Republican senator on Capitol Hill a short time ago, this is how he framed the stakes tonight. He said, if we don't stop the bleeding tonight, the remaining weeks could be very grim for the Republican Party. So that is what the stakes are, not just for the presidency, but also for the control of the Senate. So there's no question that the vice president has been preparing for this for weeks. I'm told since at least September 14th, has been doing mock debate sessions. He is going to try and prosecute Senator Harris's record and try and tie her to some of those positions she held during the Democratic primary. Well, there is no question. The most important person in the audience, of course, is watching from home right behind me here, President Trump. But he has made the vice president's job so much more difficult because of his conduct over coronavirus for the last week. So the question, will any of this even break through? Because certainly coronavirus and the president's own catching of it and the White House handling of it is certainly front and center now.
Certainly is. Jeff Zeleny, thank you. As the candidates prepare to take the debate stage, huge questions remain about the outbreak over at the White House, or what we know about President Trump and Vice President Pence. Let's go to Jake Jake, the stakes are really amazing. What's going on right now, a unique moment in American history.
Absolutely, Wolf. And Dana, as if the plexiglass isn't enough of a reminder that not only do health officials say that the administration's response to the coronavirus pandemic has been inadequate and in some cases reckless, they actually now have an outbreak in the White House. The Oval Office and the West Wing are a hot zone. And the big question, of course, that the White House refuses to answer time after time is, when did the president last test negative? In other words, when did he catch it? And has he been abiding by all the health protocols that the White House has been saying he did? Because if he had it and then went to the Gold Star event 2 Sundays ago, went to Minnesota, went to New Jersey, went to Ohio, then that's the ultimate in reckless behavior.
The question is whether the president is patient zero with the White House outbreak, and we don't know the answer to that for all the reasons.
Patient zero.
We need to know as American citizens, but most importantly, the people who he was in contact with, when he actually thinks that he possibly could have gotten the coronavirus. And you talked about all the people who
CNN,
outside the White House. What about the people who,
Jake Tapper,
we were talking about his debate prep. Almost all of the people in that room,
and whoever this is,
have COVID, and they all got tested beforehand. So it is really an open question whether they got
wow.
And this all raises a big question: can anyone, any of us, any people in the Biden campaign trust what this White House is saying about their testing regimen and who it has been exposed and who has not? That's why this matters both for tonight's debate, in which Vice President Mike Pence says repeatedly he doesn't have to quarantine. He has given us letters from his doctor saying he wasn't exposed, but he was at that Rose Garden event. We know that. And the White House is being cagey about when people tested positive, when they were tested, and just sort of what the situation is altogether. If you are in the Biden campaign right now, and I've spoken to people around that campaign today, there is a lot of nervousness over there because it's kind of an...
You won't find this on Fox News.
They have to expect that people who say that they're negative are in fact...
Only on CNN.
That anybody can be sure about what happened.
And people who say they took tests actually took tests.
Yeah.
And that's the point, because first of all, there are health experts that say even if Vice President Pence has tested negative, which he says he has, Kamala Harris should not risk it. Susan Page, the moderator, should not risk it. They should not be going into a room where there is air circulating that Pence is exhaling. That's A. And B, I really think at this point in the crisis, for this administration, you have to ask yourself,
wow.
Do you believe them? Do you believe the White House when they say Vice President Pence tested negative? Really? Would you bet your life on it?
Wow.
I mean, but at this point, you know, since we're watching a debate with one of our friends and colleagues moderating there and our other colleagues, you know, covering it, we certainly hope so. And that there was a lesson learned, that Mike Pence isn't Donald Trump, despite the fact that he's been serving at his side for 4 years. But you know what, the other question is whether or not we really can rely on not just what the vice president is saying, but the fact that the tests are actually accurate. Stephen Miller, who was also in that debate prep room, obviously was around the president a lot. He had 5 negative tests until just last night, based on what they told us. So just last night. So it's not unlikely, improbable, that we could see the same thing with the vice president.
And that is not necessarily something that is out of the ordinary. What public health experts are saying is that you can test negative and still have the virus. The way that this starts to impact tonight's debate is going to be that the whole argument that the Pence, the Trump campaign has been making is that this is all under control. We've got testing, we've got therapeutics. That's going to be put to the test tonight. And, you know, I was speaking to someone close to Harris. They said, this could not have been served up better for what she is trying to accomplish tonight. We are living in a moment in which everything that the Pence campaign has said about the virus is being put to the test based on the outbreak that's at the White House, and you're going to see the Harris campaign and the Biden campaign trying to take advantage.
Exactly, and to use a phrase that's not said very often, to Stephen Miller's credit, he isolated himself as soon as there was an obvious outbreak. That is not what Vice President Pence has been doing. Wolf.
Interesting indeed. Still ahead, the White House is going to extremes as it struggles to protect staffers from a contagious president. We're taking a closer look behind the scenes. And our fact checker Daniel Dale is warming up for tonight's debate by breaking down the president's newest claims about the pandemic. We'll be right back.
Incredible.
Debate Night in America is brought to you by USA Facts.